Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Trusted Media Summit workshop series for fundamentals and mini deep dives. Today is the third installment, and we'll be talking about searching messaging apps. And my name is Ching Yi, and let's begin. So basically, for today, we'll be looking at what are messaging apps, and why are we looking into them. And the messaging apps that we are covering would be Telegram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and Discord. And then by the end of the presentation, there'll be 50 minutes for you to ask any of your questions if you have any. And yeah, keep it till then, or you can add it into the chat box on RSVP. So now, before we begin, I'd just like to talk about messaging apps in general. So, messaging apps, the important thing to note that they are not social media platforms. They are meant to be more of private platform. So these apps are a way for people to communicate more on a one-on-one basis, or in some cases, one-to-many basis. And basically, for example, if you are chatting on WhatsApp or Signal with your friends and family, say when you're trying to remember and search for the history of what you spoke of between both of you, what you'll only be able to search would be your history with the person itself. So between both of you or in a group, and not say someone you knew and saved on your contact list but never chat before. So that's where the differences lie. So let's move on. So why are we looking into these apps? Basically, this, for example, I've personally experienced quite a number of times, and it's very often through family WhatsApp chats. Basically, if you have seen a message coming in on your messaging app, you can probably start searching your social media too, because then it has either started to spread, or it's some sort of old news and it's just making another round again. So, in a way, it is an informal method of deducing how fast and how far a message has spread. And another reason why is that, as with social media, the type of media messages spread on messaging apps can be useful for additional real time illustrations. If you are, say, reporting on a live event, but it should not be the only source. And this is partly because of how the apps themselves function, as I'll explain next, and also because of just good journalism doesn't only rely on one source. So I want to make a distinction here between the messaging apps. So, instant messaging applications can store messages with either local-based on with either local-based device storage, and that would be, say, WhatsApp, Viber, Line, WeChat, and Signal, or cloud-based server storage. In this instance, with Telegram, Facebook Messenger, Discord, and Slack. So the major difference I want to make here is that for local-based storage, the chat's history remain in your phone. So what this means is if you switch your phones or your number, you have to have your files transferred. Or say if you decide to use WhatsApp or Signal on one phone with your number, and you try to use that number on a new phone, of course, when you have the app installed, if you do that, you will no longer be able to use it on the original phone. So that means you can't actually simultaneously use WhatsApp on two different phones with the same number. So, and if you move phones, your message history also starts saving in the most current phone that you've moved it to. So basically, what this really means is that local storage offers you the difference between why it happens is that also it offers you speed, because with local storage you can access it instantly, and to a certain degree security as well, because you can control where the data is stored and who has access, which means you. So on the other hand, for cloud-based storage, you can access your files from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection, meaning your chat history can be found online as long as, one, you remember your login information, and two, are still allowed in the chat room or group chats that you're a part of. And basically, why I made this distinction is because this makes a difference, especially say if you're a fact checker or a journalist who has to source user-generated content. If you receive content, for example, like a forwarded video from a source on WhatsApp, you can't really say that that is the proof, even if the source say like they could provide details on it, because this is, you're slowly relying on just their words rather than say available metadata on the video. On the other hand, chats and media on public groups, say on a Telegram, for example, can be archived. And I'll show you what I mean later. And you can also see the history of when it was sent and between whom. Although, in saying that, you still need to further analyze the veracity of any sort of media, whether it be video or photos. But yeah, the way in which the content is taught does matter. So we move on to the messaging apps that we'll be looking at today. So from left to right, we are looking at Telegram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and then at the bottom there is Discord. Um, it should move. Yep. Yep. So we'll be starting with Telegram. It's a cloud-based platform, and it's available as a mobile app, desktop software, and web application on your browser. So like with any other application, if you search, you'll be able to find various types of misinformation on it. And with Telegram, it is actually quite easy to stumble upon explicit, non-consensual media. And as we saw in 2022 as well, plenty of violence or war-related content on it. But one thing that is useful for fact checkers or even journalists searching user generated content is, as I mentioned earlier, it can be the publicly available chats can be archived, and basically this can be done using something like Wayback Machine or Archive Today, and also I think likely Perma as well. So that's the difference. And we move on to the in-app search functions. So with Telegram, um, there's, as I mentioned earlier, there's the mobile app, there's the desktop or web browser versions, and basically, but today I'll be talking more about the web browser versions, which is either K or Z, and it can be accessed through these two URLs here. So while you can view something on Telegram without logging in, to really search, you actually have to have an account and be logged in. And then for Telegram, there are three areas in which you can use to search, mainly the username, channels, or groups. And the distinction here that I'm going to explain next is that the individual users are tied to a mobile number and as well as a user ID. You do have to actually have a username to see your user ID, and actually there's a bot as well for you to kind of surface and find out what your user ID is. But that may be something for another time to talk about. So now I want to make the distinction between channels and groups as well. With Telegram, channels are usually for broadcasting. So for example, the Malaysian authority here, like the National Security Council or MKN for short, used it in the past to broadcast messages for things like press statements or infographics, especially this was especially prevalent during the COVID pandemic, when the lockdowns were still implemented and there's no way, or they kind of want to spread the information far and wide. But nowadays it's used for like disaster warnings, and so in that sense, channels that's why channels have unlimited subs, and also more crucially, only admins are posting on these channels. It's in contrast with, say, groups, which are essentially in a way similar to chat rooms. And so in a sense, the subscribers there can chat with each other and interact, but it's limited up to 200,000 users. Um, and those are the distinctions to keep in mind. So now I'll move on to, before really searching, move on to how you look for, say, channels or groups. And to do this, you can actually use things like hashtags, hashtags, keywords, and emojis. Emojis can be things like, especially if you're looking for country-based groups, you can use, say, like the Singaporean flag, the Malaysian flag, the Indonesian flag, because sometimes groups actually use this as sort of a way to denote that, oh yeah, we're a Singaporean-based group, or Indonesian-based group, or Malaysian-based group. So say, for example, with this example, I've used the keyword Elon So this, if you're somehow interested in news about Elon Musk on Telegram, you just type in a possible keyword and see what pops up. And then to view more channels or groups, you have to click on Show More there and try, to filter out and see which ones you want to join. And once you've joined a few of them, you can now then search on what these channels or groups are sharing. So basically, the next few tabs there, as you can see as well, um, there's other medias or downloads or links and so on and so forth. It's only you can view these once you are a part of the channels or groups, and that's actually just searching for Telegram within the app itself. But now we are talking about moving on to using Telegrams. To searching Telegram beyond Telegram. So using search engines combined with search operators, much like what I mentioned yesterday as well. To search for content within Telegram. And here's a sample. Basically, using the same keyword that I used before, you can also see and surface some groups of channels that also mention Elon. Of course, this is just a very, very simple search. You can also pretty much use more complicated search queries if you want. And it's really just a matter of trial and error and based on what you're specifically looking for. So alternatively, there are also other ways besides search engines that we can use to search Telegram. There are many repositories like Telemetro, where some of them, in this case, Telemetro, you can search by country or specific categories, whatever they've placed their category as. And these are very useful feature because although I mentioned earlier that you can use emojis to find groups related to certain countries, not every country would use an emoji as part of their name. So basically, we'll look at this and I'll share very quickly a tab. So this is what telemetro looks like. But before I want to start, I would encourage you to kind of go to a couple of the filters, the advanced filter here, and then just toggle this off so that you're seeing everything and not and nothing is hidden or restricted, for example. And then here's where you can play a little bit more with the type of groups or channels you're looking for. So if you're looking by certain languages, if you're looking by certain categories, you can see now they've tagged like even erotic or medicine, whatever, that sort of category, and also by countries. It's not the be all and end all. There are probably some things you can find in the app itself that you can't find here, but it's also another method, let's say, to search. So basically, here is what it looks like. It would just I think this is by default. That's just it. I've before this when I was doing fact checking with AFP, I've come across groups where they use very specific ways to identify themselves. And even if you just search concerned, you'll find things like concerned lawyers network, concerned doctors, citizens, and so on and so forth. And so the one I think I was thinking of now, it's I've checked earlier, it's now private. So with that, some of the things are actually hidden. But say if it's not hidden, let's just go say, for example, the concerned lawyers network. The sort of things you'll be able to see would be the type of audience, the activity, the mentions and posts. If you say we go to post, we'll see the type of post and this is the benefit of this, is that you don't actually need to be part of the group and you can actually see the messages. So it's actually not surfacing, but this is an idea, you get what I mean. So it's probably, yeah. So now we move on back to the presentation itself, but it's a lot of it is something that you have to tinker with yourself to find the type of info content that you're looking for. But that's a way to do it. So basically, the next bit here I would like to also mention is a different type of tool per se, but it's also related to search engines, except that these are customized search engines. So these are programmed to just search for content on Telegram. It just means that, pretty much whatever you search using these CSCs would only be looking at Telegram. So it's a very, very targeted search. So for the first one, there's B. Ocean Blanc. I hope that's how you pronounce it, and Telegago. Telegago actually on Twitter calls themselves the search engine for Telegram. and we'll see why next. And there's Common Gram as well. I included these three because at least they each offer something different. There are others as well, but basically these three will probably help you start your search. With Common Gram, the specialty is definitely that it just searches comments on Telegram threads. But yeah, I've conducted a search, and here's an example of a term that came into prominence, especially within the past few years, and uh, just testing this on all of the custom search engines. So the term is New World Order. Um, and I've kind of narrowed it down to the top five searches, and I've also kind of to make it similar and useful for comparison. I've also made sure that they're aligned by date as well. They're sorted by date as well. So basically, you can see here I've had it sorted by date, and with the first example, the first CSE, there are like about 16,000 results, and you can see here there are a couple here. And do note this one, and you will see that in the next bit, we find that it's the same person again. But the difference, I guess, with this Telegago is that there's the addition of other categories as well, such as Telegraph, Telegram's version of an anonymous blogging platform. So with the same search term, there's actually many more results, but we need to pretty much toggle through each and every one to see what the differences are. And of course, Telegraph itself is quite interesting because it's actually it's Telegram's version of a blogging platform. So the last comparison I'll make is actually with CommentGram, and because it's just searching through comments, it's also, and it's there's just less. So here's wherein it's useful to try and conduct the same search terms and standardize every other filters as much as possible, and then you'll see the differences across all of the different search engines. So next bit is pretty much the ABCs to searching Telegram, while those are the examples, you can search with those tools. So before I move on, I just want to talk about, when you're investigating something, you might want to use a burner number or something like that, just to make sure, as for safety precaution. Or if you're using your own, do remember to have your settings set to as private as you are comfortable with, and also the usual enable two-step verification, and also once in a while possibly just check how many devices you're connected to, because when you are on a browser and when you're on mobile, you are essentially logged in, and sometimes when you move from one laptop to another laptop, you do need to log out. If you don't log out, it's actually you're still logged in, and people could actually use it. So that therein lies why you have to do these precautions. So I'll move on to an example of why I'm talking about Telegram today. Um, these two are fact checks based on finding the evidence on Telegram. One is on a misrepresentation based on a true fact. So it's a story about some European nations withdrawing from a fossil fuel treaty. It is true, but it's as with every other misinformation, sometimes they just put in a little bit of difference, and that becomes a misleading claim. And the other one is also was also found on Telegram. It's on a totally unsupported claim of being able to cure cancer by simply rubbing hydrogen peroxide solution on your skin. So you can find all these sort of things. So as you can see from the background and layout as well of the screenshots, they are from Instagram, and you can see other metrics as well, such as the number of views and when it was posted, that sort of thing. Um, so you can tell. Yep. So now we move on to the next messaging app, which would be WhatsApp. If we come back, if we compare back to Telegram, um, the messages on WhatsApp, what we can do with WhatsApp is more limited because the messages on WhatsApp cannot be archived, what you can really do is you can either, if you receive it anyway, it was sent to you, you can record it or you can screenshot it. But basically, when you do that, it's like it doesn't contain the original intact method that is what we use to determine the origins of any messages or chats. So this goes back to the reasoning I gave earlier today about not taking contents shared from your source on WhatsApp at face value. But what we are doing today, what we can do now is to, with WhatsApp at least, is to figure out how much it has spread. If you keep receiving the same messages, you know that it's become viral. And we can also do this to a certain degree on search engines on social media platforms. So we can search and figure out whether it's really gone viral. One thing I suppose is that you just have to be a little bit more patient. It comes with a little bit of hit and miss to do this couple of searches. Now, before that, actually, I just like to share an additional bit about checking out who actually has a WhatsApp account, and this is done. This actually can be done without you adding them to your contact to your phone book. So what you can do is you can use this URL and add on the country code and number, and what happens is that pop-up will come up saying, and you should click on it. It would be saying that continue to chat. So once you click on that, you'll either see a new chat window, and it will either show you that the person has an account, has a WhatsApp account, or it will show you the phone number shared is invalid and or isn't on WhatsApp. So that's how you could tell. So now we move on to the alternative way of kind of searching whether there are certain WhatsApp groups exist or not. And we are doing this through search engines. So basically, it's a little bit of, in a way, creative thinking, I would say. Years ago, actually, it was possible to directly search a couple of the WhatsApp groups on Google itself, but this was later on found out, and those sort of groups, but the histories and whatnot. That now you're not able to do that. It's all removed the possibility of doing searching directly through Google. So what we are doing today pretty much is looking for instances of shared WhatsApp chat links that are publicly posted. And usually, what people do, and if you understand the behavior of social media users, is that sometimes they want to move chats private to a more private platform. So what they do is sometimes on their own Facebook pages, groups, or on their personal timelines, they post that, if especially if they're a business or anything, you can contact me here, and that's what I mean by publicly posted links. And but do note really that the results are likely to be limited and just reliant on whatever they choose to share on other pages and websites. So this is sort of like an example. Let's just say here's a list of examples of combinations you can try to figure out what sort of information is being shared. So this is something that you can kind of tinker with yourself using different keywords, using different phrases, and different results will come up, of course. So the first thing you see with the example there that is not underlined is that I'm searching, for example, on using the website operator, I'm searching on Instagram for publicly posted WhatsApp links. And that is in quotation. And using the word and, that means it has to be tied to a keyword, to a specific keyword, or if you are not using a keyword, phrase. So the thing is, it's not necessarily always a hit, and you kind of have to continuously try and give enough patience, you will actually find something. So that's why there's no true intro method, but this is a way to do it. And I remember that there was a time where I was searching for something, and actually many unregulated substances can be found sold this way to a certain degree. And it's also because really people share these links all over different platforms. So I'll give a sort of like an example. At the height of the pandemic, especially when ivermectin wasn't approved yet, and ivermectin is the actual horse deworming pill, but people were saying that, oh, it works for COVID, it works for COVID. People were trying all sorts of ways to figure out how to get a hold of these pills, and actually found during that time that it was sold on Telegram. It was somehow people find ways to spread the word. So, and it's the same as well for things like other miracle cure-alls like kopi tenang in Malaysia, for example, in kopi tenang, sihau, that sort of thing, and even like say MLM scams, multi-level marketing scams. So also a reason why people do this is because sometimes say like if they have Facebook accounts, Facebook pages, groups, some of these can get banned temporarily, and they don't want to lose that contact. What they'll do is they'll alert their followers that, look, I'm migrating now to WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever, and that's also why you'll find those public posts. So now I think I'll look at one of them. That would be the search on Twitter for WhatsApp links selling something miraculous, or mujarab in Malay. Um, this is the one. So this is what I found basically when I tried to, let's see if I can make this larger. Nope, it doesn't. Does it show? Yeah. So basically, this is the search using that operator, and you can find a few things here. So it's a matter of pretty much hit and miss, trying it out. So let's move back to the yeah, yeah. Okay, I need to yeah. Okay, got it. So now we move on to Snapchat. So basically, with Snapchat, for those who have not tried Snapchat, it's actually the original messaging app with disappearing messages as a functionality, and it's like their selling point. But since then, many other apps have copied that, and now even on WhatsApp Signal, you can actually have your messages disappear within a set amount of time. And then with Snapchat, the reason I want to mention it is because there's one feature that they have that can be quite interesting to look at, and will add on a little bit of depth to your reporting as well. And is their Snap Map. Snap Map is what is actually are videos which are Joe how to put it Joe tag to a certain location, and it depends on the users sharing their content publicly for you to be able to view these. They call these videos are called snaps on Snapchat. So, but one thing with Snapchat is that the following is not it's not as wide as say Telegram or WhatsApp. So it we'll see next that only pretty much a number of countries use it, but you can still find some things on your off chance. So this is what it looks like with SnapMap. We can pretty much, when you're on it, you can manually move to any location in the world and view public snaps posted from any location by clicking on the location on the map. So pretty much, if you see here, this red bit here, it just denotes that this the way it functions, that it's a heat map. So when there's this sort of color like red, and then it just peters out and becomes green and blue, it just denotes that there is a high density of public snaps there. And then and the more snaps there are from that location, the color changes. So red is actually, it means like there are a lot of snaps in that area. And also another way you can search is that you can use the search bar here, and if you have the coordinates, you can also input into this bar. The other thing that will also surface would be the map stories, especially if they're popular enough. I think when I was doing this, it was during the World Cup, but I wasn't close enough to the area. But the other sort of festivals are also occurring, and I guess it's popular with the festival circuit. So I will move on to an example, and this is a video, and it was I'll show you how it works pretty much. It should play, yes. So basically, this is a solidarity rally in Denmark for the people in Iran. It's just a short video. It's just to say that you can hover on the map and click on it, click on anywhere really, or actually even on the map stories to be more specific, and then you'll find some of the snaps. Um, that's pretty much how you can view some of these snaps. It's still playing the same. It should move on. Hmm. Oh, yes. So I want to highlight a couple of the other examples as well. The thing with SnapMap, I suppose, is you have to be doing it as the event is occurring, because otherwise it will just disappear depending on the settings that the or what the user plans to share. So this is from last December, last Christmas in 2022. There was a huge flooding in South Australia, and during that time, you can see there are several map stories, and it's just useful in a sense to discover what's happening on the ground when these happenings are occurring. And also really you can think of it that these sort of represents your eye, your source on the ground as well, when it was happening. um, Moving on to the next bit. Yes, this was from a couple of days ago. So it just shows you that you just have to be always searching and to see whether there are actually extra videos that you can tap upon to also add into your reporting. So this was from the failed UK space mission from a couple of days ago. Maybe it's just due to the number of Snapchat users. I just found two snaps on the map. It just really depends on how popular it is in a country. It's a bit more popular in the United States, I believe. And pretty much what I'm trying to what I'm trying to say is you can pretty much use it to a certain degree um, to help you add a different perspective, a different viewpoint to reporting to support, say, posts that you found elsewhere, say like Twitter. So, say if you found like tweets on something happening, you don't have the imagery to support it, this is a way to look for it. Or if you have something that you already found on Twitter, here's another way to find, additional way to find for videos, maybe from a different viewpoint. So yeah, so that's a way to go about it. And now we move on to the last messaging app for the day, and that is Discord. Now, with this platform, it's actually popular first amongst gamers, streamers, but it has since grown to host other interests and let's just say questionable content, which unfortunately includes um, sensitive topics like bullying, hate speech, sexual exploitation, for example. And over in the United States, there's been a couple of cases and arrests based solely on the fact that they've sort of publicized what they're doing on Discord. So one thing I like to say with Discord is that oops, okay, actually I want to go back first. One thing I like to say with Discord is that the structure is slightly different, and they have what they call servers, which are which is the platform's term for chat groups. So that's the way to differentiate it. And the other thing is that they call the other bits the other parts from servers, channels to the usual that you recognize, the private messaging and calls. It's just different terminology. So, like the other instant messaging apps that we're used to, it supports the usual voice calls, voice chats, texts. But the really special thing, I suppose, with Discord as well is that it also supports the use of bots. And with this, you can use command lines to make better use of these bots. So, for when you begin, you either start by you know forming your own server, or you join an existing one. And with servers, it can be public or private. And to join these servers, actually, you can if you're just beginning, you can actually go to this part here, discover. Yeah, this is moving really quickly. Just if you discover, and then you'll find that those are the public servers, and you don't actually need invites to join those. And servers are usually separated. I mean, distinct by the type of interest, the type of topics. But the ones on Discover are definitely, like I said, the ones that you don't require invites. You can just click and join. You may have to complete some other thing to prove that you're an actual user, you're an actual uh, person, and then you're considered a part of the server. But in any other case, to join public servers, you have to be invited. So yeah, another way also to search for these sort of invites is that you can also do the usual search operators on search engines to find these invitations. But here is an alternate way to find public-facing invite links. Basically, these three are just a couple, and you can go on to let's say Discord servers.com, and I'll share this bit. I do have time. Yeah, I do have time. So this is what it looks like. So you have to pretty much, depending on your interest, just key in and go through. You can see that it's very, very predominantly skewed to gamers, but you can definitely find other topics of interest, like I mentioned before. So yes, similar to Telegram, with Discord, there are things that you just have to remember. And here are some of the always be checking ABCs that I just like to remind everyone. And they're just slightly different from Telegram. With and it also depends on how Discord works. With Discord, what you can do is with your account, you can set your account to invisible. But the one thing you have to remember with this particular setting is that while you are invisible to others, if you join servers, they would actually make announcements so that you can't hide. You by default, when new users join, they will see that you have joined the server. So pros and cons. And also the bit that I mentioned just now. Sometimes when you join a new server to receive like full access, that means you can comment, you can chat with others and whatnot. You have to complete whatever they ask you to. Maybe just post something just to prove that you are you. And also note that you can also be kicked out or banned. Like say for the other day or something, I had an account with some unpronounceable, like some you can't even type out whatever sort of name, and that's also grounds for being kicked out. So there you go. Um, why is it that I'm mentioning this call? Well, basically, as you can see from these article titles, it's it's already used now to conduct scams, cheat, lie, harm, and it's prevalent in online where especially lately there are crypto scams and if you go even more sinister type of harm could be some used to plan mass shootings, other topics like sexual grooming, exploitation, and so on and so forth. And why I kind of want to mention this as a place to search for possible stories is that usually whatever that's already happening in other parts of the world, it's usually copied and tried as well. So far, I haven't seen it in Southeast Asia per se, but I think there is room to research on this specifically. Um, And here's an example actually of a journalistic outlet has gone on to investigate this court specifically, and produced a number of stories surrounding high-risk individuals and the events that occurred after they plan whatever they intend to do on Discord. So some of the articles are really quite interesting, especially the one on the Buffalo mass shooter discussing it on discourse of what he's about to do, that sort of thing. And yeah, it's actually I think an area which probably deserves a little bit more research into. I've seen the other day as well, you can pretty much also search by languages as well, so that's something to take a note of and see if you can find some servers that might be of interest. Yeah, and you could possibly turn it into a massive series of investigative articles like Unicorn Riot did. So that will be it from me for today. So I just want to say that while I'm introducing these tools to you, it's up to you to how to use it, use this knowledge to further your research or investigation using these apps. I'll stop now to take your questions. My name's Ching Yi. That's my contact detail here. If there's any other queries that you couldn't think of today in the next 15 minutes, I'll be happy to answer it if you just send through an email. And I think that's it. Um, I'll be open to any further questions. So before that as well, I'll also kind of like to talk about the next two workshops in the series, which will be on next week on January the 17th, as well as January the 18th at the same time, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Singapore time, and it will be conducted by Owen. On analyzing sources as for the for the one on Wednesday, I believe, and the one on Thursday will be on ethics and security. So stay tuned for that. Yep. So just waiting on questions if you have any. Pretty much. I could also, I suppose, show some of the other bits here with the Discord servers. Let me see. Mm, yeah, not this one. Sure, I'll show you SnapMap. So yeah, if I'm just showing a couple of things while everyone thinks about what they want and so, oh, actually there is a question. Let me see. So have you experienced any chatbot misinfos from these apps? Um, no, not particularly. Not particularly. But as you can see from this bit here, this article here, let me go back a bit. Where's that bit? Yeah. So let me go back a bit. So this one is about um, a compromise that happened on one of the channels. It's I guess it's a new thing. People are probably finding, if you have something, people find ways to exploit it. So pretty much is this was a use of chatbots, and it's just spamming the server, the channel itself as well. And then what happened was that people the bot will try to get people to click on it. It's a spam link, pretty much. It's phishing. It's the most basic thing is phishing. It's just getting you to click on links, and yet they've added a different level of complexity to it. So now it's done by a bot instead. So it's just spamming servers. Oh, click on this. We're if you want to see this and that, whatnot. And so that's why. But personally, no, I haven't experienced it. But yeah, these sort of things are definitely open to being exploited. So that's one. As if you can see as well, people are doing scams and schemes um, on Discord. And since I did mention it earlier, basically with Discord, there are also a lot of people interested in NFT um, um, and what's the other one? Crypto, And since these things are pretty much new as well, sometimes there's no other way to cross check. So that's how some of these schemes, what some of these schemes depend upon, the fact that people don't know better and there's no other way to cross check. So there's another question. Has there been success with news agencies getting access to info from messaging app companies? Example, de-identified info, trends, etc. I have, from my memory, I have actually seen there has been research actually by a university a couple of years ago where they've managed to. I'm not sure the details behind it, but they've managed to track WhatsApp groups, especially I think from India. It's a really wide study on India and Indonesia. But in terms of getting for news agencies getting access to it, no, because actually I think also it depends on the countries, and also the access has to depend on that university itself to give you access. But that's the one that's specifically just for WhatsApp. But as with all things, yeah, it might come up, but it's a matter of research. But yeah, it'll be great to kind of delve into it further, and I might do with in the future once I update more on this. Um, a great session talking about telemetry. Should we sign in first to use it? No, you don't have to. You can actually conduct your search just straight as soon as yeah, you don't have to be signed in. So, you said that on WhatsApp, the message is hosted locally on the device. WhatsApp claims that it is end-to-end encrypted. So, how does we often see the police getting the WhatsApp chats of people without getting the physical possession of their device? I can't speak to this. I'm not exactly sure, but basically, what I meant by when I say that it's hosted locally on the device is that yeah, it's end-to-end encrypted. What also they mean by that is that once it's sent from your end, it all the way it's meant to be. No one should be able to scramble it. You should be able to feel safe that from your side to the other end that no one's gonna be able to read it. I have to get back to you to that. I'm not exactly. I can't. There are probably tools around as well. I have to say. So yeah. I have to move on to the next question, but if you're interested, we could chat about that later. In some countries like India and Thailand, misinfo spread fast in the chat groups. What would be the first thing for people to beware when seeing those infos? The first thing, as with any other misinfo, especially when you receive it on something like a personal or a group WhatsApp chat, like a family WhatsApp chat, is that the language itself, you could already tell that you can there are telltale signs, basically things like, for example, I think just now with WhatsApp, people say like, oh, beware, or breaking news. It's the same sort of playbook that people use. People tend to use the same sort of keywords as well, or please share this so that others will not be fooled. That sort of it's just a variation to those, but basically you find that the language and the tone is always the same. So once you already receive a message with such a tone, you have to be step back a bit and think, oh, is this actually true? When they say that, oh, I heard this from a friend, is it their friend, or is it actually just a copy and pasted message and that they're just sharing it along? Also now with WhatsApp, you can actually see that when it's forwarded too many times. So that's also another way for you to to tell and be aware of. Yeah, I have, yeah, a couple of times. So I guess the bit about without getting physical possession of device, yeah, I have to get back to you on that. Basically, I think it's on a case by case basis. Um, yes, I'm reading on a question from YouTube. Is it loading? Yep. Yes. I will. since there are two more workshops next week, the questions that I couldn't fully address today will be addressed next week. I mean, it's to the best of our abilities. We'll definitely need to double check and make sure that it's actually the right info before we move on. Um, yeah, and tell you that. Yes. So we have, yeah, but yeah, actually, um, also another thing is we just it's just to be on the safe side, but um, we'll we'll see. Next week we might readdress that again, but fingers crossed. Let's see what we'll find first. That's just to be sure. So there's 10 minutes left. That's pretty much it. So if there are no questions, we might just wrap up. Just wait for a couple more minutes. And I think the bit of yeah, that's it. No more questions. Okay, should we wrap up? If you have any after the fact, um, this is my contact detail, and or if there's any processes, any other matter that you'd like to discuss, you can also direct them to this email address. That's pretty much it from me. Yep, yep. Okay, great. I've been told I can wrap it up. Thank you. That's a wrap. See you next week, January 17th and January 18th. And yep, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.